Hey, this is Sarah, and I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the co-writing process. Not so much as it relates to writing a song, as much as just like what it looks like from before you write till the end of the write. Some areas, if you're blessed to live in like Nashville or bigger cities that have a songwriting community, the norm there is the ability to be able to get into a room with other writers and do an actual in-person write. For those people like me who might live somewhere where there's no songwriting community, we have the option to do virtual writes. Virtual writes have just opened the door for me to like so many opportunities to write with writers all over the country and even on the other side of the world. Now, there's nothing better than when my co-writing friends and I can actually get in the same city and in the same room and write. That's such a blessing. But it's also a blessing to have technology so that living in an area where there's not a lot of writers, you're not held back from writing. If you're going to do a virtual write, there's usually a few platforms that are used most often. That's going to be like Zoom, Facebook Messenger chat you can get on, Google Meet, and some people just use FaceTime. I would recommend that if you have never used whatever platform is decided upon for your virtual write, that you kind of look into it ahead of the write. Maybe see if you have to have an account to do it. Maybe you need an app. And just set yourself up for success by knowing and getting yourself familiar with that platform. Also, before your virtual write, make sure that when you write the date down, that you have the right time zone. The benefit of writing with people all over the place is obviously a benefit of virtual writing, but you want to make sure that you all end up showing up at the same time. So now you've set up your write, you know your platform. The next thing I would do is start thinking about what ideas you can bring to the co-write. You always want to show up with some ideas. So if you're a melody person, maybe there's some melodies that have been going on in your head that you've recorded in your phone, jotted down. Go through those, find some of your favorites, maybe even come up with some new ones. But you should usually bring about 3 ideas to a write to offer. If you're a lyric writer, go through your notes. Have you had any amazing hook ideas recently? Or did any thoughts pop up that maybe were not the exact lyric, but something that you just feel on your heart that needs to be written about? Pull those out, have them ready. It's always nice when people show up at a write and everyone kind of brings something and then you could share it and figure out where everyone wants to go with that. But to show up prepared is a great idea. And speaking of that, like if you are a melody writer and you're new, man, voice memos on your phone is amazing. You get a little melody in your head, grab your phone, hit voice, record, and just sing it or play it with your guitar or on your keys and just kind of save it because it's easy to forget. If you're a lyric writer like me, I go into notes and I just jot down ideas as they come. Sometimes it's just a couple words. Maybe when I'm praying, maybe while the pastor's speaking or while I'm worshiping, an idea comes into my head and I just jot it down really quick. That way I have a place to go back and pull ideas from. Some people write those ideas in journals still. Like, they have journals and journals of just song ideas. That's great too. Just find a way to document it so you don't forget it. So now you have your ideas ready. You know where and when to show up. And the day arrives and you get on your call or you show up in the room that you're meeting. The first thing that you're probably going to do is introduce yourself. Usually you go around, share your name. Sometimes people will ask like how long you've been writing, about your family. If you're on a virtual write, a lot of times where you're writing from, since it could be anywhere. You're going to go around, introduce yourself. And then also it's a good idea, if you know where your strength lies, whether you're more melody or lyric, share that. It's very, very helpful in the room to kind of get an idea of, okay, like here's my melody people. These people are more lyric driven. And it kind of gives a sense of how the song may shape up and who's going to speak what into it. If you can, start a Google Doc. Someone in the room usually does. If you're not familiar, maybe somebody else will start it for you. Google Doc is amazing. You literally can see real time what people are typing. And that's just really helpful sometimes because sometimes people process by just throwing things down and it gives you an idea into their thoughts. Like, what are they thinking? Do they have an idea? And it's just a fun way to kind of share. And then as the song grows and it builds and it kind of takes the shape, you have it right in front of you and you all can literally be on the same page with it. Now, if you write in a journal or you bring a notepad with you to write, that's okay too. Do what's comfortable for you, but I would still share your email with the person starting the Google Doc because that way at the end of the write, you have their contact information. You have the song, maybe the chords if someone threw them on there, and you could just go away knowing that that song is finished in a place. And I didn't mention it, but yes, when you start the Google Doc, make sure your name's on it. Make sure your contact information is on it because it's going to come in handy later. So you have your Google Doc ready, and now you're going to share a little more deeply. Usually a song will come out of, like I said, bringing ideas, sharing melodies, something catches people's attention, sharing ideas. Sometimes it's just sharing what's going on in your life. I don't think there's any other time where people dive so deep into a relationship as they do in a co-write. You show up, you share your heart. And it'd be a little weird if you went to your neighbor and you first met them and you introduced yourself and then you're like, hey, I'm having these problems and these struggles, but God's showing me this stuff. That would be a little weird. But in a co-write, that does kind of happen. Sometimes things are going on in the church and the worship leader is in the right. And they just want to say, hey, this is going to my church. I feel like we need to write about it. Sometimes someone shows up going through a battle or celebrating a victory. We bring those things to the co-write, we share, and it's really cool because a lot of times there'll be a little thread woven through everybody's conversation that everyone could pick up and run with, where they all have some heart into what is being written. Now, if you're writing for maybe an indie artist or a specific set for a worship, that might be a little more guided, a little bit more hey, this is the direction we're going. But for the most part, your songs are going to start from the heart of the conversation in the room. So as you go through your ideas, I want to throw out this. When you share your ideas, if you have some idea that you already have either almost finished as a song, or it's just really, really personal, and you're writing with people you don't know, be careful about bringing it in, because you need to realize that when you bring it to a co-write, it becomes a co-write. So the song is not just yours anymore. And so if it's something that you're holding really tightly and you can't loosely offer up for the other writers to speak into, that might not be the kind of song that you want to share. So oftentimes I've seen this happen, and then the person who brought in the idea is kind of frustrated when they walk away because it's not the song they thought it'd be. So just be careful about that. If there is a song that you hold super, super dearly to, an idea that's really, really close to your heart, you have really two options. You can either finish it yourself, so it's totally all your heart, or wait till you kind of meet and work with other co-writers. And then when you find some co-writers you really click with, that you feel like are going to express your heart to and really listen to what you want the song to be, then I would bring that song to those writers so that you just kind of feel like it's a better fit. So now you've shared your ideas, you jump into the write, you're sending ideas into the Google Doc, the song's taking shape, and those 3 hours that seemed like they were probably going to be really long at the beginning of the write are already over. Now you're either going to end up being done and you have a full song, or maybe your song isn't finished yet. And that does happen. What I would recommend is, regardless of where you're at, before you leave the room, whether it's a virtual room or in-person room, record a work tape. A work tape is just that. It's a work in progress tape. It's a recording of your song, where it's at. It's usually very rough. It doesn't have to sound pretty. If you're in a room with the writers, somebody's on their instrument, just sing through what you have. If the song is not finished, sing up to, wherever you're at, because that's going to help you later when you go to circle back to finish the song, to remember what you're doing. Because sometimes it could be a month before you get back to the song, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, but it's easy to kind of forget where you're at. So make sure you record where you're at in the process. If you can walk out with a full song, that's amazing. Still record it, because you may forget how you were singing it later on. And for someone like me who's not a melody person, someone who can't just go home and play by ear what we had sung in the room, those work tapes are really important to me, because I can't just go home and play it. So when I go home, or when I get off the call and I want to recall the song that we were just doing, I will listen to that work tape over and over and over and just listen for, hey, how did that flow? Did those words sound smooth? Is there something different with the melody that could be stronger? Sometimes you'll find that you listen to something, the same word just keeps popping up in place of something else. And then you kind of know, oh, maybe this word is better. So those work tapes for someone like me are really important, because that's my connection to the song. And then for everybody else, it just helps you remember so that you don't forget. If you run with a song in the future and want a demo, or you're going to maybe just have that song be a song between you and God, you can still have the opportunity to listen to it and remember what you'd written. If you need to set up a follow-up write, it's so much easier when you're still on the call or in the room to do. That's not always possible. Sometimes you don't have your calendar. If it's on your phone, it makes it really easy. But make sure you set up that write, or at least talk about when and how you're going to follow up on the song. Sometimes that's really frustrating as a new writer when you get so excited about a song and a write, and then you leave, and then no one reaches out to finish the song. Or maybe you forgot to put your contact information on your Google Doc, and then you have no way of contacting the people. So just talk about it, see, what your thoughts are on it. If your song is finished, well, if it was a great write, maybe set up the next one, talk to people about writing again. But kind of have an idea when you leave what's in place for the future. And then after that, go enjoy your song, look back on the process and think, okay, could I have been a better listener? How smooth did it go? Who did I click with the most in this write? Kind of evaluate the write and think about what could have been better, or maybe nothing could have been, or, just celebrate that you finished, a song. And then just move forward and do the next write and the next write and the next write. And I just encourage you, don't let one write, one time ever stop you from moving forward, because there's always another write. There's always more people to meet. And hopefully this will be a first write of many more to come.